I basically I always try to think about when I first heard it, and I'd really like to say my sister was a huge hair metal chick back in the day,
Mm.
so I was introduced to it sort of through that, and then I remember around seventh grade or so. I think it's about when Slayer's Divine Intervention came out, and that's kind of the album that really got me onto the path. And then I was listening to some punk stuff too, and there's a lot of F this, F that. And my dad
Mhm.
definitely didn't appreciate it. So I shifted gears to Cannibal Corpse. And when he came in the room, was sort of like, I have no, what the hell are you listening to? I was like, all right, he can't understand a word they're saying. It's a lot worse than F this and F that. So yeah, I'm good. And so Chris Barnes and stuff like that really sort of influenced me. Slayer. So I'd say fourth, fifth grade, it was like hair metal because of my sister, which then come seventh grade, I got to hear Slayer for the first time, and that was Divine Intervention. And then from there, it was basically over.
That sounds about like my own. My parents, well, my mom couldn't stand. She just couldn't stand listening to what I listened to. I would always have it blasting on the speakers. I actually started out with Cradle of Filth, which that's kind of like a big step from like I went from like Slipknot and Mudvayne to Cradle of Filth and like Opeth and Dimmu Borgir and all those types of bands, Dark Throne, all those bands. And my mom hated it, but my dad was a hair metal fan also, and I actually took him to a Blood Incantation show a few months back, and he loved it. I mean, he loved it, so that was pretty cool. But kind of the same little journey there. Dave, how about you?
For me, yeah, I'd say it was also fourth grade. I'm a little bit older than Chris, so when I say fourth grade, I'm going back to the early '80s. Before I one day, like a friend, like a classmate or whatever of mine played. Yeah, he just got a new tape from this guy named Ozzy Osbourne. Maybe you've heard of him, and it was the Blizzard of Oz album. And I heard he pressed play. I heard that intro yell to Crazy Train, and then I heard that Randy Rhoads riff, and I'm like, and that's when I had that hair on the back of my neck standing up moment where it was like, okay, what is making that sound, and how can I make the rest of my life all about it? Um,
Right.
and then I, after that, I just fell in love with Ozzy. And then a couple years later, when Master of Puppets came out, I found Metallica and Slayer and everything. And then towards the end of high school and going into college, that's when like all the Florida and Swedish death metal um, was getting some good distribution. So I was always in like music stores. I was always looking for like I was the guy looking for the craziest artwork, craziest logo I could find. Okay, well this must be good. So I started
Right.
seeing this crazy stuff hit the shelves, and I'm like, morbid what? Napalm? What does that say? Napalm death or something? That must be good. I'm all about what I'm seeing. So that's how I
Hell yeah.
found my way into that. And then through in the '90s, metal kind of. I got really into industrial music
Mhm.
in the early to mid '90s, and metal just kind of
Godflesh.
yeah,
I know Simon's a big
Godflesh.
industrial fan.
Yeah,
Yeah, partial
hmm
sweet, yeah.
I
What's
got
about like
really.
the traditional industrial or like the more like the industrial metal sort of
hmm
bands?
Yeah, I found like the first one I ever heard was well everyone's heard Nine Inch Nails probably as their intro, and then if they like that sort of sound they kind of went deeper, and then I found KMFDM and Ministry and like those bands just under the surface there, and then I started digging even deeper, and then um, found some real obscure stuff. And for a while in the mid '90s there was a time I was listening to nothing with guitar in it anymore. I was listening to like all electronic weird music when metal was kind of having their when kind of weathering that grunge storm in the
Mhm.
'90s. And I was kind of like you, Ryan. In the '80s, so we went through that something called the society in the U.S. here went through something called the Satanic Panic in the '80s, and like everybody's mom like watched those daytime talk shows, and they were all talking about how heavy metal and Dungeons and Dragons was destroying the world and destroying her kids. And my mom fell for it, hook, line, and all for that crap, hook, line, and sinker. So I came home one day and she was asking, I was like, oh my God, they got to her. So
Oh man.
so I had to deal with that for, a time when I was trying to, just when I was in high school. And then I moved out of that and went to school, and then I was able to get a job, and just kind of I never had to move back to that. But yeah, that's sort of been the trajectory that my life followed.